Hi, today we're going to look at process improvement. To set the scene for process improvement, we have to take a look at a classic organization or company as they look all around the world. A classic organization has a board of management, they have a sales and marketing function, they have production, and they have distribution. Of course, they have lots of other functions that are sub-departments of all kinds of forms and shapes. So they have a big hierarchy with a lot of people, a lot of resources. And the salespeople, they focus on making sales, meeting their sales quotas, taking orders with that sole purpose. The production people, they want to produce the order the most efficient way. They may want to wait until their machinery can be utilized the best way, until they can buy a big batch of raw materials. So they're also focused on their little part of the journey. And finally, distribution, they only want to drive off when the truck is full, so to speak. So each department in the classical organization are really focused on resource optimization, as we call it. Now, the problem with this setup is that the customer, he's out here, and he places an order. And because the sales department prefers to do things their own way, this order may have to wait a little bit. It may have to go to a different department for clarification, and then it has to go to another sub-department in production before there are enough orders for production to start producing. And once they have produced, it may go into some kind of inventory before there are enough orders to send off a truck. Then the truck goes off and the customer gets his order. Now, this whole journey may take, let's say 100 days. But the question is, how much of this activity was actually value adding to the customer's order? So what percentage of these 100 days were actually spent on value adding activity? This question is what flow optimization is about. And flow optimization is essentially process improvement. It's a completely different perspective of your organization, where instead of having a focus on resources and their efficiency, we look at what is called the flow unit. In this case, it's first an order and later it's a product. But how is the flow unit traveling through the organization? Where is it waiting? What is stopping it? That's the flow efficient organization. And process improvement is the discipline of improving this overall flow. So let's have a look at how it's done. So for us to improve this process, we first need to understand it. And understanding it means mapping it. So if we take this flow here, here in sales there's an activity. We need to know exactly what's going on in here. What are the checklists, what are the tasks they do? The same thing in this department, what goes on in this activity, what goes on here, and here, and here. And we need to make sure that this is actually the flow that is followed each time. So we need to first map our process, and then we need to stabilize it, to standardize it. Because if we don't stabilize it, then we will have a bit of a moving target to optimize on. So it's only when we're clear about what is the flow each time and what are the activities done each time, and everybody has the same picture of it, that we're ready for the real process improvement. But this exercise alone is going to surface a lot of obvious improvement points, a lot of waste that we can eliminate. This is sort of the low-hanging fruit of process improvement. So once your process is mapped and stable, then it's time to look at its flow. The normal classical organization, it takes its starting point in the resources, and that's the whole perspective of that organization. But a process-based organization has the perspective of the flow unit. The flow unit are the pieces of information, product, even people that are moving through your process. And this flow is calculated by throughput time. And throughput time is the time it takes to in each the cycle time of each activity, the time it takes to complete each activity, times the number of flow units in the process. So in this case, we had a throughput time of 100 days, but we estimate that we only had 4 instances of actually creating value. So in this case, we may have had a process efficiency of just 4%, 4 days out of 100. So there's huge improvement room here in this process. So the question is how we find it. And in order to do this, we have to look at the factors that stop the flow unit from flowing through our process. And there are 2 major factors here. One is variation. For instance, if our customers don't have a standardized way of giving us requirements, if we get a lot of different requirements, so each product looks unique, then this variation will clog up these different activities and take a lot of time throughout the process. So imagine having a lot of special processing for very different orders. Obviously, then you will see a lot of flow units clogging up here at this step here, and this will become a bottleneck. And the bottleneck is the second major cause of flow inhibitors. Bottlenecks are forming around the activities that take longer than the average. So we have to look at reducing variation by simplifying the products we produce, how we take our orders in, how we can make everything as ready as possible in the beginning, but also, of course, fluctuations in demand. It's clear that if we suddenly have a lot of flow units going through the system, then a lot of the problems are going to show. So if we can get this demand trickling in all the time and have a few flow units in the system at any moment in time, then we are more able to handle it at the different workstations or the different activities. So variation and bottlenecks are the key things to look for. What they also do is that if we have a lot of flow units stopping at some point, then suddenly we'll have secondary needs. And secondary needs are when people will have to, for instance, store inventory or find ways to handle a large volume of problems. It could be that we need to call our customers to tell them things are delayed, to give them a status. And it could be that there is stress and a lot of issues involved with having this group of people handling a lot of different flow units at any moment in time. So this is really the discipline of process improvement, and this is where we can effectively use lean tools such as 5S, for instance, to optimize how our tools are organized in each workstation, but also tools such as A3 to analyze why certain problems occur, and gradually remove all the redundant secondary activities that are happening in our flow, and make it as value adding as possible, so that we reduce the number of days in throughput time and the number of activity going in that doesn't add any value to the customer in the end. So that's really the essence of process improvement. And I hope you have found this video inspiring to go out in your own business and find areas where you can improve. And of course, while this is a manufacturing example, the principle is the same if we're dealing with paper flows, if we're dealing with patient flows. It all matters. All that matters is that we take the perspective of the flow unit and we travel through the system, through our organization with this perspective, and we look at the activities that are value adding and try to eliminate everything else. That's what we need to do in process improvement. So thank you for your attention.